Welcome to Spidey Classics, the video series where I take 3 Spider-Man comics from my PC and share my thoughts and opinions with you guys. I'm Mike Spider Slayer. Welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0. If you love daily comic book content, you like me helping you make decisions on what comic books to buy, you came to the right place. Hit that subscribe button. I have great power, great responsibility to showcase these books from my personal collection. Also, stay tuned to the end of the video as we will have the Spider-Man question of the day, and you could get shouted out on future episodes of the series. So going forward with this series, I decided to rank the books that I read, going from worst to first. And the first book that we're talking about this week was released on November 22nd, 1977, which made me 2 years old at the time, which is Peter Parker, The Spectacular Spider-Man. This is issue 15. Now, when it comes to this comic book, I was like, wow, this is not very interesting for me because I don't like a lot of the characters that are in this comic book. We had Man Beast, Razorback, Sister Son, and there was like all this like history between Hate Monger, and it was very blurry dialogue too. I think that's what you got a lot of the times when it came to these old school comic books. So like with the blurry font, I was like, oh man, I'm like, this kind of sucks. It takes me out of the book completely. I did appreciate the ads. We had the superhero women by Stan Lee as he was highlighting the women of Marvel at the time, right? But this was one of those issues, very rare issues of Spider-Man where it was like from the old days that I just didn't like. It was just too dialogue heavy to the point where it was like, I can't attach myself to this because it was like, I don't care about these characters. I just don't care about Hate Monger. I don't care about Razorback. And it's just my personal preference here. This one was just a drag. And it was obviously in the like towards the end of a story arc. So definitely not my cup of tea for this particular issue. It does smell pretty good, but Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man issue 15 was definitely a letdown for me. It is March 5th, 1985, which makes yours truly 10 years old at the time. And we're talking about Web of Spider-Man issue 4. We've had the privilege of talking about every single issue of this series so far because I have a lot of Web of Spider-Man comic books. This one is 32 pages. At the time, it's 65 cents. You have a new writer on this series at the time, and his name is Danny Fingerloth. And our penciler is Greg LaRocco, if I said his name correctly. Great cover here as you get to see Otto Octavius' arms take on Spider-Man. And as you read this issue, you do get to see Otto Octavius as time goes along. But in the meantime, this book starts off with Spider-Man dealing with some common criminal thugs. I think that had to do with like they were stealing furs or something like that. I don't remember 100%. But the artwork as you go along in this book, once it introduces Otto Octavius, that's when this book gets really well done. Now, Otto is in this mental institute in here because he's trying to become a good guy again. They're trying to fix him, right? And he doesn't have his arms attached to him. But whenever he sees some kind of spider or the word is mentioned or something like that, he goes into this like paranoia that the spider is going to kill him, hurt him, destroy him, whatever the case may be. He has flashbacks of Spider-Man beating him up and whatnot. And when that happens, his arms are in this like solitary confinement prison, right? But they kind of naturally react to his mind because they're attached to his mind. And then the next thing you wind up seeing is that like they break loose and you wind up seeing everyone trying to take on these arms. And eventually what it does lead into is that it does lead into Doc Ock becoming Dr. Octopus once again, and really well done comic book. I actually love this book, but there was one other book this week that I did like better, but This was the best issue since issue 1 here. So if there's a Web of Spider-Man book that you want to read, pick this one up. Really awesome. So my favorite Spidey comic book of the week has got to go to a book that was released in December 12th, 1967, and it goes to The Amazing Spider-Man. This is issue 58. Yeah, baby, it's got J. Jonah Jameson on the cover as a Spider Slayer. This book is 32 pages. At the time, it was 12 cents. This marks the first appearance of Spider Slayer Mark II from Earth 616, written by Stan Lee and John Romita Sr. Now, these two were like a well-oiled machine at the time. I thought that the artwork was really well done as you go through this comic book. And in the beginning, you do get to see like Gwen Stacy and Harry. Kazar's in this book as well. As the issue goes along, you do get to see some Spidey goodness in this, and you get to see like the stains in this comic book. Like, I don't even know what those stains are. They look like they were burnt. Like someone literally held like a lighter to this thing, or it was left out in the sun from a magnifying glass. Like, I don't even know. Like, look at the back of this comic book. Like, it is hilarious how worn and torn it is. Was that tape on there at one point? Like, I don't even know. But nevertheless, this book was freaking awesome because in this issue, we talked about how Spider-Man had amnesia 2 issues ago. And in this issue, it is wind up cured because of a crack in the head that Spider-Man takes from Kazar. And then he like remembers everything. It was like, oh, just a beating in the head. Some more makes me remember who I am. But in the meantime, what happens is you do wind up seeing J. Jonah Jameson working with Spencer Smythe, who is Alistair Smythe's dad, and creating the second Spider Slayer. And they want nothing more but to defeat Spider-Man. Now, when it comes to Spencer Smythe, right, he wants to kill Spider-Man. When it comes to J. Jonah, he just wants to stop Spider-Man. And the technology in this thing is hilarious because it's a robot. However, it's like you are looking through a camera. It's a camera on a robot head. And they get to follow it all over the town. And we get to see the Spider Slayer actually go after Spider-Man. You get to see this cool and epic battle between them. And it was just awesome. And the way that Spider-Man defeats this thing is that the Spider Slayer reacts on spider impulses. So when it comes into a room that has a ton of spiders in it, which is, I guess, Spencer Smythe's hideout, the Spider Slayer machine just randomly like blows up, right? Oh my gosh, it was so hilarious. It's a little bit corny, but it was fun seeing the interactions between J. Jonah, Spencer, Spider-Man, the other characters. Harry and Gwen are in here, and just seeing that introduction to that machine is really well done. So this did get my Spidey pick of the week. I really enjoyed this one. It's just so fun to go back in time and relive these comic books. And now it's time to answer last week's Spidey question of the day. And the question was, what was the very first Spidey villain that you fell in love with? A lot of you guys said Green Goblin. However, Reed Parker 4121 responded and said, Carnage has always been my favorite Spider-Man villain. He was actually the reason why I started reading Spider-Man comics. I remember being in grade school and my friend had Amazing Spider-Man 361 with him. He just looked at the cover and loved the whole visual of Carnage and his tendrils holding up Spider-Man. And really, in the beginning, that was the appeal on just how cool Carnage looked. At the time, I was more into X-Men, so I traded a bunch of my X-Men cards for that comic. And the following weekend, I tracked down Amazing Spider-Man issue 362, 363, which resulted in him shifting to primarily collecting Spider-Man from that point on. Thank you so much, Reed Parker 4121, for the awesome response. Love hearing that story. And if you guys want a shout out in the possible future, please answer the Spidey question of the day. And today's question is, which is the better Spidey suit? I think it's very debatable, right? Is it the classic red and blue? Is it the black symbiote suit? Is it the Iron Spider suit in the comic books? Plus, there's been other suits that have been introduced over the years. Honestly, I absolutely love the blue and red, but when I first started reading Spider-Man on a regular basis, or I guess maybe the first story I've read was like Kraven's Last Hunt. I was a little kid and I love that black and white suit, dude. So I don't know. I have a tough time. I always go back between the classic blue and red and black suit. I'm not gonna lie, I do like the Iron Spider suit too, but I do like the blue and red suit with the webs underneath the arms. I thought that was really cool too. But I want to hear in the comments section below. Hopefully you guys can get a shout out next week. So there you have it, guys. There is this week's episode of Spidey Classics. Still trying to tweak the series. Please tune into it because I want the series to go on. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Don't forget to answer the Spider-Man question of the day. And as always, guys, I'll leave you more content right here to click on. And remember, support the local comic shops. Keep buying, keep collecting, but always read your comics so we can have great comic conversation. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you real soon. Take care. Bye.